Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Erica Yoder, and today we're going to be doing a rib experiment because I've been cooking ribs for a long time, and when I'm cooking ribs for other people, I always wrap them in foil because that's the texture that most people are going to be used to, and you get really good results. And normally I would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but when I cook for myself, I wrap these in either tallow and butcher paper or lard and butcher paper. I just like the product more. It's savory, it's juicy, it's everything that I want. And then a lot of people, especially in Texas, don't wrap the ribs at all until they're finished. And then I had an idea the other day. Well, what if instead of wrapping, you just finish your ribs with direct heat? Then you could get the benefits of direct heat ribs, you could get the smoke from offset smoker ribs, and then you don't have to mess with a bunch of foil and other stuff. So today we're gonna test all of those methods. I have 2 packages, that's 6 racks of ribs. One I'm gonna cook in the offset smoker all the way without wrapping. The one I'm gonna wrap in aluminum foil. Another I'm gonna wrap in butcher paper and tallow. And then I have 3 more racks that I'm gonna finish on a direct heat pit. You can use whatever kind of grill you want, but I have a direct heat pit, so why not? The 3 racks that I'm finishing direct heat, I'll pull one and then I'll wait a little bit, pull another and pull another, because what I wanna find out is what's the optimal amount of time to leave them on the direct heat pit. Does taking them too long, kind of dry out the outside and make it too crunchy? Does not leaving it long enough leave it, too firm and not tender enough? We're gonna find out, and so that's why we're doing 3 racks that we're gonna finish direct heat, so we have a little bit of flexibility and we get more answers than just, I did it for an hour, but it wasn't tender enough, or I did it for an hour and it was too crispy. We're gonna find out, so let's open these up. We're gonna season them with just salt and pepper. We're scoring the membranes on the back, and then we're gonna throw them on the Solution XL right behind me. One other note about the ribs is that ribs are one of the few meats at Costco that hasn't doubled in price in the last few years. So 3 racks of ribs, $36. Let's get it done. I've got them seasoned with salt and pepper, and for anybody who's wondering, it's 50/50 Diamond Crystal kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper by volume. Let's put them on, and we're gonna go the first 3 hours just on the smoker, just like usual, low, smoky, gentle airflow. So while we're cooking these ribs, I'm gonna make some sides that we can eat along with it. I wanna use this as an opportunity to thank today's video sponsor, Suvie. Suvie is an incredible countertop oven and a meal delivery service. So you get all the ingredients you need and the implement to cook those ingredients in a way that's super convenient. If you're going out to get food, it's expensive. At the grocery store, it's even more expensive if you go to a restaurant. And that can really put a serious constraint on a lot of people. Sometimes you just don't have time. Like doing these long cooks, I'm out here, I'm watching fires. I don't really have time to go cook. I need something that's gonna make it easier for me. Suvie has a countertop oven and the meals to make each and every time I want a delicious meal without breaking the bank possible. So what are we gonna cook for today's sides? Well, conveniently, we have a baby back ribs meal. It has green beans and cornbread, which I think go perfectly with ribs. Now, here's the most amazing thing about the Suvie unit. It has a cool to cook feature, which means it will allow you to set up dinner in the morning before you leave. It will refrigerate all the food until it's time to cook. It will start cooking and complete cooking your meal. So it is incredibly versatile and allows you to have hot food when you get home, even if there's been nobody at home to do the cooking. Check this out, guys. So the way I'm gonna be able to set this up, because I can choose when I want the meal to be done, I'm gonna set these up to be finished cooking when the ribs are done. It's gonna refrigerate, automatically start cooking, and have it hot and ready at the time that I select. Pretty awesome, right? All you do is load the meal and tap the recipe card to the appliance to cook. Then choose what time you want your food to be ready. Suvie's meal service has over 50 chef-created meals to pick from with new options added weekly. And it's flexible. You can choose how many meals you get and how often you get them. And the Suvie kitchen robot has over 15 cooking modes, even air fry, slow cook. So you get perfectly cooked meals without any effort or skill needed. Just look how awesome this meal turned out. And check this out, guys. Suvie offers a 100-day risk-free trial. Get 16 free meals with your Suvie order if you click on the link in my description. Now, there's not a lot of stuff being given away for free. If that sounds interesting to you, you can check out the link in my description if you want to learn more. So let's talk about the settings that we're going to use on the smoker. First of all, the temperature I'm trying to hit is between 225 and 250. Not super low, not super high, but I want to keep it gentle and smoky. The damper, I have about 2/3 of the way closed because I want gentle airflow moving across the grates. And then we're going to be using relatively green splits because I want to get plenty of smoke flavor on there because this isn't a long cook. And one thing I should mention is this is the Solution XL. So 48-inch long cook chamber. It's bigger than the original Solution, though that's still available. And one thing I should say is that I don't know anybody right now who thinks the economy is good. I know a lot of people are struggling. Lots of people, you know, it's harder to make things work. And if you've been keeping an eye on the Solution or you've been waiting for the Solution XL to drop, I want to make it easier for you if you want to make the purchase. So until Thanksgiving, we're going to do a discount. $300 off the Solution XL. Let's make that promo code XL300. And then we'll do $200 off the regular Solution. It's about as cheap as I can make it without losing money on the prospect of the thing. So these are made 100% in the United States. All that stuff, if you want to know all the details, you can go to the website. You can check out those videos. But XL300 to save $300 off of this unit, and Solution 200 to save $200 off the Solution. Let's go look at this fire and show you how I'm going to set it up. So how I have this set up is I have two kind of base logs at the bottom there. They're horizontal. I don't want to build up a big stack because I don't want any runaway flames or runaway temperatures. I want to keep it low and slow, nice and steady. And I want plenty of smoke flavor. I don't want to burn too clean. So now that these are going, that took about, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. I'm going to use the notches on the door to hold this in place, and we should get to a very steady 225 to 250. Okay, we got 6 racks of ribs on. We'll check back in a little while, probably the 3-hour mark. It's been about 3 hours, and this is what we're working with here. Let's grab a rack. I'll grab the one on the end. All right. So after 3 hours, we have some really nice looking ribs. Now we want to get some pullback. We want to achieve tenderness. We want to get to that final temperature of doneness. It's still kind of rubbery. You can see we're getting a little bit of tenderness as this begins to crack, but it's not the level of tenderness that we want. So we're going to take 3, put them on a direct heat cooker. We're going to take 1, wrap it in foil. The other we're going to wrap in butcher paper and tallow. And then 1 we're just going to leave on the smoker and cook all the way to the end. The smoker temp is going to get bumped up to 275, 285. And the direct heat unit is going to be pegged at about 350 to finish those off. So let me get to wrapping and transferring. First, let me get the direct heat pit. Ta-da! We have the chud box. So we got this direct heat pit, and it's time to start putting these guys on. So I'm going to put on 3 racks. I'm going to go bone side down. So I'm going to protect the meat side until the end when I want to crisp it up. But bone side down, I'm going to be rocking at 350. Ooh, sizzles a little bit. Put that guy there. That guy there. All right, 3 racks. I'll see you guys later. Now you might be asking, why would I take a perfectly good method like wrapping in aluminum foil and see if cooking direct heat might improve it? Well, the real reason is because with direct heat, you get fat smoke. So the fat and the juices from the meat dripping into the coals, and then that flavoring the meat, because that produces a lot of smoke and a lot of aroma, and it flavors the meat, and it's really spectacular. So in the bottom of this, we have a bunch of oak wood that's been burned into coals, and that's what's going to be infusing a little bit of wood smoke flavor and a lot of fat smoke flavor as these ribs finish cooking and hopefully reach a great level of tenderness. Now, these other ribs on the offset, One's going to get wrapped in foil. Nothing's going to be added to it. The other, butcher paper and tallow, and the last one is just going to rock completely naked until it's done. We're going to be able to compare them all together here at the end, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I like about each one, what I maybe dislike about each one, and then ultimately what I'd recommend as maybe a great way to get the results that you're after. And so in just the past, I don't know, 60 to 90 seconds, this thing is putting out a lot more smoke than it was before. It's rolling smoke. Why? Not because anything's on fire, but because the fat and meat juices are dripping into those coals that are then producing that smoke. And I can tell because of the aroma. It's kind of like burgers being cooked on a grill. It's just got a very particular smell, and it smells so darn good. It is, yeah, it's spectacular. If this works, I think it's going to be awesome. But at this point, I don't know if it's going to absorb any of the fat smoke flavor. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if it's going to make it worse somehow. But we're going to find out together. Foil wrapped ribs. Now, inevitably, doing a test like this, people are going to say, well, you know, to get the optimal results, you should have taken the ones that you wrapped in aluminum foil, you should have taken them longer, and then the ones that you wrapped in butcher paper, maybe not quite as long, etc., etc. But because then I'd be changing the cook so much, then I can't attribute the difference to the difference in wrapping. So I only want to change one thing, that is how I'm finishing the cook, either wrapping in aluminum foil, butcher paper, nothing, or going to direct heat. I want to keep as many things the same as possible. So I will concede that to make the ideal foil wrapped ribs, I'd probably cook them a little longer. To make the ideal butcher paper wrapped ribs, I'd probably take them to the 4-hour mark before wrapping in tallow and paper. And for the ribs that remain completely unwrapped the entire time but stay on the offset smoker, I'd probably just cook at a higher temperature to shorten up that cook time. So these are adjustments I can't make. Otherwise, I'd have to cook 100 racks of ribs and repeat this test a dozen times, and I still might not have enough data to have real, meaningful, statistically significant results. So what we're doing is, in a backyard situation, which method is going to help you the most? That's what we're trying to find out. All right, ribs, meat side down in the tallow, wrap them up. Meat side up. Meat side down. Meat side up. Meat side down. Back on the smoker. All right, so now we're just going to take these all to tenderness. Now for the direct heat ribs, to evaluate tenderness, I think we're going to have to pull them off at different times. So we'll probably pull one off after about an hour, then maybe an hour and 15 or an hour and 30. I'm not exactly sure. It just depends on how they look and the kind of tenderness that I think I'm getting. But I'll update you when the time comes. I'll show you exactly what my reasons are for pulling them off when I do. It's been about 45 minutes since we wrapped the first ribs and we moved some to direct heat. Let's take a peek at the ribs that are on the offset, and then let's take a peek at the ribs that are on the direct heat chud box. These are definitely getting softer. These are also softer. Neither the foil nor the butcher paper wrapped ribs are done, and this one's not nearly as soft. But you can see it's getting there. It hasn't dried out, obviously. I mean, you can see from all the dripping juices, it's going to be fine. But we still got a ways to go. All right, here we got our direct heat ribs. They're looking really nice. If we look on the back side, we see how we've crisped up that membrane. You see all those bubbles and stuff. This is actually looking really, really nice. Nothing is burning. And so this is the first one. Then I'm going to flip over to the meat side, and we'll probably pull this off in somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes. We'll flip the middle one in maybe 15 minutes, and this last one 15 minutes after that. The temperature in this direct heat pit has dropped a little bit below 350, so I'm going to wake up these coals with this aeration. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, so an hour total on the direct heat. We're gonna take this rack off. Tell me that doesn't look good. Oh man, smells great. See that bubbling? My mouth is doing that same thing right now. Just salivating. My goodness, that looks so good. Oh, the smell is incredible. All right, I gotta stop, or else I'm just gonna start eating these right away. So, 15 minutes on the meat side. Now it's time to flip our second rack over. So, second rack, we're going to the meat side. This will be pulled off at about an hour and 15 minutes. So the first one came off an hour total on direct heat. This one is going to be an hour and 15 minutes total. The last one's going to be an hour and 30 minutes total, each getting 15 minutes on the meat side because I want to get some texture, but I don't want to burn anything. We're going to see what's best. All right, time for real life. My 4-month-old daughter is causing a ruckus. And so my camera woman might have to go deal with that. She's got a lot of hats that she wears. So we might miss out on some of the shots of these direct heat ribs coming off. But don't worry, we're going to show you the final product of all of them. I've already laid out exactly what's going to happen. The first rack of direct heat ribs on for an hour total, 45-minute bone side, 15 minutes of the meat side. Second rack will be an hour bone side, 15 minutes meat side. And the final one will be an hour and 15 minutes bone side before the last 15 meat side. We're going to compare those all. We're going to have some sides with it. It's going to be awesome. All right, we got all 6 racks here. We have completely unwrapped all the way in the smoker, butcher paper, foil. Then we have the 3 direct heat ribs. I'm going to start with the unwrapped. Actually, I'm going to start with the foil, move to the butcher paper, then unwrapped in the offset, and then we're going to attack the direct heat ribs. But because I'm the most familiar with ribs wrapped in foil, it's a good place to start. And most of you are too. So let's see. And this is what they look like. Pretty good. Nothing is crusty, nice and juicy. That juice is running. I'm going to take a rib kind of from the middle-ish. This is what it looks like. Juicy, good, all that stuff. All right, let's taste test. It's really good. Clean bite underneath, the bone is clean. Yeah, just very, very good. It's hard to critique these. I wish they had a little bit more smoke flavor. I wouldn't mind a little bit more texture. But this is what you get when you wrap ribs in foil. A very, very good product. It's not hard to mess up because you can easily overcook the ribs, but definitely a great way to do it. But let's see if we can improve. Paper and tallow ribs. All right, so these look really good. Maybe just a touch darker than the foil ribs. Let's cut some open and see. Look at all that. Let's cut out one from about the same part. Nice and juicy, good smoke ring, nice color. I wish it were just a little darker, a little redder, less orange, a little more red, but nitpicking. Let's taste it. Even better. So with these, you get a little bit more smoke flavor. You get just a shade more texture than you do with the foil. And you got the richness of the tallow. There's a reason I cook for myself using this method. It's just so good. It's hard to find fault with. I could do with a little bit more texture. I wouldn't mind a little bit more smoke flavor. But we have the completely unwrapped ribs to try next. So I'm expecting more texture and more smoke flavor. But let's find out. It's really good. Actually, of this group, my favorite so far because it has more smoke flavor. You get a little bit of texture on the outside because it never got softened by wrapping. Really, really nice. I wish it were just a little juicier, but these are hard to argue with. Last note is the level of tenderness isn't quite the same. So if you get the same level of tenderness, a lot of times you can really overcook the outside. What we got here I think is a good balance. So it's not falling off the bone, but it's more similar to Texas-style ribs that you would get if you go to a great restaurant. So I'm very pleased with these. But for most people, you want to err on the side of tenderness because nobody's going to... Okay, how many times have you cooked barbecue and the barbecue noob who comes over and tries your food's like, oh man, those ribs were fall off the bone, bro. And you're like, oh, they're not supposed to be falling off the bone, but thanks. Okay, so if it's smoky and tender, people will like it. So this is very, very good. All right, direct heat finishes. This was on the longest. This one came off first. We showed you this one a minute ago. Definitely see and smell the results of this direct heat cooking. Yeah, this smells like a crispy burger, like a smash burger almost. This skin has a lot more texture, still juicy. Let's try it out. That is really good. You taste the fat smoke flavor. You get a little crunch on the outside. You get the smoke flavor that's, in the background. This is so nice. This is my favorite by a significant margin so far. It's the best of both worlds. You get what I love about direct heat ribs and the smokiness of traditional smoked ribs. So, huge fan. This was 45 minutes, bone side, 15 meat side. Erica took a bite of the other side. She said it reminds her of charcoal and the beach. I think that's a good thing. But yeah, these are very, very nice. You notice that there's still a little bit of meat stuck on the bone. It's not as tender as some of the other ribs, but that's kind of what we expected. We're trying to find the right balance. But the flavor's spectacular. Let's move on to the direct heat ribs that were bone side for an hour, meat side for 15 minutes. All right, 1 hour bone side, 15 minutes meat side. Let's check it out. I'm already calling it. I think this is the winner. This is beautiful. Look at the tenderness. The bone is clean underneath. You get a little bit of crispy texture on the outside right here. The bottom is definitely crispy. You can see that membrane has crisped up and it just provides nice texture. You've sealed in the moisture. You get wood smoke flavor, fat smoke flavor. You get a juicy rib. Everything I want in a rib is right here. Except for maybe sometimes a little bit of sauce. But I always say great barbecue doesn't need sauce. At the same time, I love sauce. Is that the best one so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I'm actually surprised. I thought the one that was on direct heat the shortest amount of time was going to be the winner. By the way, this is kind of what the bone looks like. Direct heat is nice. All right, here we go. An hour and 15 bone side, and then 15 minutes meat side. You can see we got some nice charred bits on the back there. But when we pulled this off, everything still juicy. All right, where's a winner here? Here we have the one that was on direct heat the longest. This one, flavor is still phenomenal. Thinking about the flavor makes my mouth water, and I'm currently eating this rib. That's how good the flavor is. But the tenderness is pretty good. What's disappointing to me is the moisture. I think it was just on too long, and you lost too much rendered fat and too much water, and it's just not the same level of moisture that we had in the other ribs. So 90 minutes on direct heat maybe is a little too far. 60 minutes maybe not quite long enough, but 75 minutes, so 1 hour bone side, 15 minutes meat side. We're cooking at 350. You can recreate this, however you want, but those are the results that I got on a particular day with these particular ribs that I got at my particular Costco. So your results might vary, but this is what I would recommend. I would recommend trying some of these other techniques. You probably wrap your ribs in foil now. I would say test wrapping in butcher paper and some lard or some tallow, and test finishing with direct heat. You don't need any kind of fancy grill. I mean, the Chud Box is awesome to do this, but if you just go direct heat over coals and you get that fat smoke and you get that crispiness and you get all those extra flavors, it's just really hard to beat, and you're not adding in flavors that might not appeal to people. So if you have a lot of herbs in your rub, maybe somebody doesn't like rosemary, for instance, you might be pushing those people away. This is a universal taste. People like the taste of meat cooked with fire, and if you give them that, they're going to love you for it. So I hope you guys learned something. I definitely did, and I have, a new tool in my tool belt to cook ribs in the future. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button. That helps me out. It really also helps me out if you subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and you get notified when I put out new barbecue content. If you want to follow me on all other social media, you can follow me at MadScientistBBQ. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.